Just mention the Knights Templar, and the conspiracy theories start flying. Numerous myths and legends have grown up around this most famous military order of the Middle Ages, which has shaped our idea of the Crusades like no other. These tales mostly focus on the mysterious end of the order and the so-called treasure of the Templars, which they supposedly hid before their downfall. It's linked not only to priceless relics and cryptic manuscripts, but most famously to the Holy Grail, which the Knights Templar are said to have been responsible for protecting. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some of the most mysterious ancient places of the Crusades. Royston Cave. It has been 3 centuries since Royston Cave was rediscovered, and yet it remains one of Britain's most puzzling and atmospheric enigmas. Hidden beneath the busy streets of Royston, England, this bell-shaped chamber is no natural formation. It's entirely man-made. Its walls carved by unknown hands, its purpose still debated. Within this underground space are some of the most haunting carvings ever uncovered by historians, religious figures, tortured saints, and enigmatic symbols that defy easy explanation. Alongside these carvings lingers one of the most persistent mysteries tied to the era of the Crusades and the shadowy legacy of the Knights Templar. This ancient hollow is widely believed to have served as a clandestine meeting place for the Templars. These warrior monks were tasked with protecting Christian pilgrims journeying through dangerous routes to the Holy Land. Though the Templar order was officially dissolved by papal decree in 1312, traces of their presence near Royston have fueled the theory that they may have had a hand in the cave's creation. The cave's story begins, or rather resumes, in 1742, when a market worker conducting routine repairs stumbled upon a buried millstone embedded in the ground. Curious and determined, he cleared the debris surrounding the stone and uncovered a vertical shaft plunging into the earth. What lay below was no ordinary cellar. Packed with dirt, rubble, and forgotten time, the space bore the unmistakable signs of deliberate human construction. Soon local efforts began to excavate the chamber, driven by rumors of hidden treasure. Yet, instead of gold or relics, the explorers found something far more great: walls blanketed with intricate carvings, an octagonal platform carved into the floor, and a chamber that felt like a sanctified space of ritual, devotion, or perhaps initiation. The carvings, many of which are believed to date from the mid-14th century, depict a striking mix of Christian iconography and folkloric symbols. Saints stand expressionless beside instruments of martyrdom. Saint Catherine is shown with her breaking wheel, Saint Lawrence with the grill upon which he was burned alive. There are also figures believed to represent Saint Christopher, the protector of travelers, and possible scenes of religious ceremonies. Elsewhere, a large horse is etched into the wall, and the provocative Sheila Nagig, an ancient fertility symbol, leaves visitors and scholars alike wondering what belief system on this holy earth shaped this place. One particularly chilling figure holds a skull in one hand and a candle in the other, a detail many interpret as representing an initiation rite, though no written record confirms it. Despite numerous studies, there is no documented reference to the cave before its rediscovery in the 18th century, no medieval maps, no church records, not even a passing mention in personal diaries. That absence of context is exactly what makes Royston Cave such fertile ground for theory. Some believe the cave lies at the intersection of ancient ley lines, spiritual paths believed to connect sacred sites such as Avebury and Stonehenge. Others note the cave's position beneath the meeting point of 2 historic roads, Ermine Street and the Icknield Way, both of which date back to Roman and prehistoric times, suggesting the site's significance may go back even further than the Middle Ages. The Knights Templar connection, while tantalizing, remains speculative. Local records do confirm that the Templars were active in nearby Baldock, and they are known to have traded regularly at Royston's butter market between the mid-12th and mid-13th centuries. Some local historians argue the cave might have served the Templars as a temporary sanctuary, a place to store goods, rest overnight, and perform daily prayers, especially after documented tensions with the nearby Royston Priory left them without a more formal space. The layout of the cave, circular in shape, has also been cited as possible evidence of a Templar link, echoing the round design of churches built by the order in imitation of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. But critics are quick to point out that such architectural forms were not exclusive to the Templars. Round churches are most commonly found in Scandinavia, where no Templars are known to have operated. Scientific efforts to date the cave have added more complications than clarity. In 2012, experts from the Royal Armouries Museum examined the carvings in detail. Based on the style of clothing and hairstyles depicted, short tunics on the men, coiled hair and veils on the women, they concluded that the artwork likely dates to between 1360 and 1390. Well, now, that's nearly a century after the Templars were suppressed, casting doubt on the theory that the carvings were their work. No depictions typical of Templar iconography, like the Dome of the Rock or two knights sharing one horse, are present. Even the idea that the cave was used for Christian worship is debated. The presence of pagan symbols alongside Christian saints muddles the waters. Some believe the cave may have had multiple phases of use, with new carvings added over time as different groups found their own meaning in the space. Others believe it may have been created specifically to evoke mystery and legend, something purpose-built to be misunderstood. In the end, Royston Cave's enduring mystery may be its greatest treasure. While popular imagination clings to visions of hidden Templar gold and secret rites, the cave's true value lies in its survival. Most artwork from that era has been lost to time, erosion, or neglect. Yet here, beneath a small market town, a window into medieval belief, fear, and longing still lingers in the cold stone shadows. No amount of research has answered the core questions: who carved these walls? When exactly, and why? Temple Church. The Knights Templar were very integral to the Crusades. It was more than just a religious brotherhood. They operated as a formidable military power. They spread Christian doctrine and waged their holy campaigns by any means deemed necessary. These ferocious and formidable warrior monks, sometimes referred to as the poor fellow soldiers of Christ and the Temple of Solomon, established their headquarters on Fleet Street in London at Temple Church, formally consecrated on February 10, 1185. Temple Church, however, wasn't merely a command center for the influential Templar order. It also served as the birthplace of what would evolve into the modern banking system. Following the conclusion of the First Crusade, near the close of the 11th century, European Christians began undertaking religious pilgrimages to Jerusalem. The route, secured and patrolled by the Templars, offered a safer path for those determined to reach the sacred city. Prior to their intervention, this journey typically lasted around 2 months, with each leg plagued by considerable danger. To protect these traveling pilgrims from theft and extortion, the Templars introduced a financial mechanism that allowed them to deposit their wealth in England, specifically at Temple Church, and retrieve it later upon reaching Jerusalem. This innovation marked the early development of an international financial infrastructure that still influences modern systems. Rather than traveling with all their possessions, pilgrims carried only essential funds and a letter of credit, which authorized them to withdraw their money when they arrived in the Holy Land. Before this safeguard existed, it was generally accepted that pilgrims were highly vulnerable to highway robbers. With their passage now protected and their valuables secured, more believers were encouraged to embark on the spiritual journey to the land of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection. In doing so, they furthered both religious devotion and the Templars' broader mission. This concept soon spread across the whole continent. Temples established in other regions of Europe replicated the model, laying the groundwork for a pan-European banking network. The legacy of Temple Church is immense, as it established fundamental principles of finance that endure to this day. Despite their influence, the Templars would eventually fall from grace with both church and crown. Their rapid rise in power and vast accumulation of wealth attracted political scrutiny. In the early 1300s, King Philip IV of France, burdened by debts owed to the Templars and eager to centralize authority, set in motion their downfall. On Friday, October 13, 1307, many members of the order, including their final Grand Master Jacques de Molay, were arrested. The organization was soon dissolved, and all of its properties, including Temple Church, were seized. and the rest is all in the murky history. Treasure tunnels of Acre. The ancient city of Acre, which is situated in present-day Israel, is a trove of secrets steeped in deep historical relevance. Over the decades, it has persistently yielded its hidden past to inquisitive archaeologists. Yet one prize has consistently remained beyond reach, the famed cache of Templar gold, long rumored to lie beneath Acre's ancient foundations. In 1994, a local plumber attempting to clear a clogged sewage pipe beneath a residential building unintentionally uncovered one of the most significant Crusader-era discoveries to date, and what many believe to be the strongest clue yet regarding the location of the lost Templar fortune. This guy found a vast 150-meter-long tunnel. This subterranean corridor extended from the western ruins of the Templar stronghold to the city's eastern harbor, functioning as a covert passageway that kept their activities hidden from public view. Its base was carved directly into natural bedrock, while the ceiling featured a semi-barrel vault made from meticulously laid stone. Without any kind of further delays, archaeologists were promptly brought in to examine the site. Their work revealed that the passage formed part of a much broader labyrinth beneath the city, offering rare insight into the Knights Templars' concealed operations in the region. Through modern LiDAR imaging, they found an entire network of underground installations that was identified and mapped. These interconnected routes are now understood to have been vital to the Knights Templar during the events of the Third Crusade. Historical accounts indicate that nearly a millennium ago, these tunnels were used by the Templars to secretly transport enormous quantities of gold for secure storage within what was known as the Treasure Tower. Despite repeated mentions in period documents, the exact whereabouts of this tower remain elusive. Beyond the main tunnels, archaeologists also uncovered fragments of a Templar fortress precisely positioned at the tunnel's western entrance. Two imposing towers once guarded this defensive post, shielded by walls measuring nearly 28 feet in thickness. Adjacent to them were two smaller towers, each crowned with a golden lion. However, no treasure was recovered from these remains. Will future excavations uncover the long-lost treasure tower? Could it truly be the final resting place of the Knights Templar's legendary hoard? Perhaps the answer still lies buried, waiting to emerge from the dust of centuries. Alright, now, let's move to Masyaf Castle and the Assassins. While the Knights Templar earned their reputation for martial discipline and battlefield prowess, they were not the only influential military order of the time. In Syria stands a formidable citadel known as Masyaf Castle, once the central base for the notorious group known as the Assassins. Famed for their mastery of espionage and targeted killings, the Assassins, also called the Hashashin, seized Masyaf Castle in 1141, transforming it into the heart of their operations. Recent archaeological efforts have uncovered hidden escape tunnels, advanced rainwater systems, and other features engineered for prolonged resistance against siege. The Assassins gained notoriety through their covert campaigns, which frequently targeted powerful political and military leaders, both Muslim rivals and Christian crusaders alike. Among the most infamous incidents was an attempted assassination of Lord Edward, later King Edward I, during the Ninth Crusade. A lone agent, believed to have been dispatched by Mamluk Sultan Baybars, infiltrated Edward's quarters despite a declared truce. Armed with a poisoned blade, he launched an attack that Edward narrowly survived. Though the assassins employed various tactics, they favored nerve-based poisons which were commonly applied to their blades and, at times, even their arrows. Their reach was extensive. Numerous high-ranking figures, including senior members of the Templar Order, were slain by their hand, striking deep fear into the Crusader ranks. Saladin, the legendary Muslim commander, once experienced their psychological warfare firsthand. During a siege on Masyaf Castle, he discovered a poisoned cake and a threatening note in his tent. The message read, "You are within our grasp." Recognizing the implicit danger, Saladin immediately ended his hostilities with Sinan, the assassin leader. By 1275, the Order of Assassins had effectively vanished, but Masyaf Castle remains a symbol of their legacy. Their name lives on. Indeed, the modern term assassination originates from the Persian word hashashin. Today, their story endures in both history and legend, their reputation as silent agents of fear still echoing through time. Alright guys, now let's end our list with Mount of Temptation. Above the Palestinian city of Jericho, a jagged sandstone cliff cuts into the sky. Nestled into its steep face is a structure older than most nations, what many know today as the Monastery of Temptation. The Greek Orthodox Church considers this a sacred place, so do thousands of others who've climbed its path, not just for the view, but for the weight of what's believed to have happened there. The cave inside the mountain is tied to one of the most iconic moments in the Bible. This, tradition says, is where Christ fasted for 40 days and nights. It's where he was tested, offered food when hunger set in, dared to challenge God's protection, and tempted with control over every kingdom on earth. The spot carries a tension, isolation, and confrontation, silence and struggle. That sense of sacredness didn't keep the place untouched. When Crusaders swept through the region in the 11th century, they brought more than weapons. They brought architecture. The monastery, already standing in some form since the 6th century, was expanded. Stone walls rose, arches took shape. It became both a shrine and an outpost. Crusader commanders didn't take chances. A standing order required at least 10 knights stationed on the mount at all times. Armed and ready, they kept watch over the hills, guarding against attacks from desert raiders, rival faiths, and anyone who might challenge their hold. The Templars had their part in it too. A fortification was built higher up, less ornate than the monastery, but practical. It stored grain, weapons, and gear. It faced the desert like a clenched fist, ready for whatever might ride out of the horizon. But not everything built by the Crusaders lasted. By 1187, the region changed hands. The monastery was surrendered to the Ayyubid dynasty of Egypt. Control shifted. The mount remained. Today, the sacred shares space with the mundane. Visitors reach the site by cable car. Inside the monastery, there's a souvenir stand, a small cafe, a quiet restaurant where the view is sold as much as the history. People come for different reasons. Some walk in silence, thinking of Christ's solitude. Others come for a photo. A few notice what's beneath the modern layers, a cave that still hums with old questions. Nothing about this place feels accidental. The wind up here moves differently. The stone echoes footsteps with a sound that feels slower than normal. And even with the restaurant's buzz behind you, when you stand near that cave, the silence feels like it's waiting for something. If you've enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.